Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, we'll be learning how to draft a bustier pattern with Queen Anne neckline. This video is very detailed, very easy to follow, and very beginners friendly. So if you find this video useful, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and also subscribe to my channel. So we're going to be working on our pattern paper before we transfer to the fabric, and I have my rollers here, my scissors, my tape rule and my marker. So the first thing you want to do is to fold your pattern paper into two. So I have mine in a fold of two like this. And then the next thing to do is to mark out a straight line at the upper part of your paper this way. So this line is going to be the shoulder line where we'll be taking all the vertical measurements from. So from this line, place your taper on this line and mark your bust point. So for me, it's 11 inches. From the shoulder point, mark your under bust. For me, it's 14 inches. To my high waist measurement, which is also my half length, is 16 inches. And then the full length of this top is 22 inches. So after marking the point, I'm going to extend the lines this way. So go ahead to extend yours. So after extending the line, go ahead to label it so that you won't get confused. So come over to the shoulder line and place your shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2. So mine is 8 inches. And taking that from the closed angle of your paper. So I'll mark 8 inches there, and then I'll come down by my round armhole measurement divided by 2, which is 9 inches for me. So I'll connect the 2 points together, and then I'll further extend this new line. I'll extend it this way. After doing that, this is what we have. The next thing is to mark the neckline measurement. So because it's a Queen Anne neckline, we're only going to be needing the wideness of the neckline at this point. So I'm working with 3.5 inches. So you won't be needing any neckline depth for now. And then I'll come over to this line and take 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'll connect it to meet the neck width, the neckline width this way, forming a slant. And then I'll come over to this line and take the midpoint, which is 4 inches, and then I'll come in by 0.5 inches. So on this new line I drew, which is the chest line, I'm going to mark my round bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10.5 inches for me. So go ahead to mark yours. After doing that, take your curved roller and connect the 3 points together to form your armhole curve. So I'm going to get my curved ruler now and just place it this way, connecting the 3 points together. And then I'll just draw out my armhole curve. So after doing that, this is what we have. So the next thing we want to do is to place the bust span measurement. So your bust span is your nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. So for me, I have 4 inches, and then I'm going to add half an inch to it for joining allowance. So I'm going to mark 4.5 inches on all the lines. So go ahead to mark yours on all the lines this way, whatever you get when you divide your nipple to nipple by 2. So mark it on all the lines and then use your ruler to connect it together. Connect the points together this way. And then to mark out the dart, I'm going to start with the under bust. So I'll come over to the under bust line, and then on this side towards the armhole area, I'm going to take 1.5 inches on that side, and on the side towards the center front, I'll take 1 inch. So if you're working with a small sized person, you can do 1 inch on both sides, and if you're working with a very big person, you can do 1.5 inches on both sides. So I'll repeat the same thing I have on my under bust on the full length of my top, 1 inch on the center front area and 1.5 inches on the other side. So right now I'm going to connect the points together using my ruler. So I'll connect the points together this way, and then I'll come over now to the bust point and come down by 1 inch. I'll mark 1 inch there, and then I'll take my curved ruler to connect. So I'll take my curved ruler and just curve out the points this way. I'm going to connect the 2 points this way, forming a curve, and then I'll flip it to the other side as well and curve it out this way. So after doing that, the next thing is to determine the neckline depth. So I'm going to just take my tape rule and come down by 6 inches from the shoulder measurement. So I'll mark 6 inches. So you can decide to make yours lower depending on what you want for yourself. But I'm going to be working with 6 inches neckline depth. So after marking 6 inches, I'm going to use my ruler to just form a straight line just as you can see me doing in the video. I'll form a straight line this way. And then after doing that, I'm going to extend my dart leg all the way down, all the way up. So after doing that, the next thing is to do the over bust tightening. I'm going to take 1 inch on both sides for that. If you're working with a small sized bust, you can make use of 0.5 inches on both sides. And then I'll come to the bust point and come up by 1 inch, and then use my curved ruler to just connect it this way, or just curve it out this way with my curved ruler. Now do the same thing for the other side. So after doing that, this is what we have. So what we're going to do now is to determine how deep we want our sweetheart neckline to be. So if you want yours really deep, you can just connect it down to the chest line. But for mine, I'm going to just come down by 2 inches this way, and then I'll take my curved ruler and just curve it out to meet the dart leg this way, forming my sweetheart neckline for the bustier part. And then for the Queen Anne neckline, I'm going to come over to this dart point and take 0.5 inches, half an inch, and mark it there, and then I'll connect that point down to meet the neck width, forming a slant. So after doing that, this is what it looks like. So the next thing we want to do is to mark the round body measurement. So on the bust line, I'll place my round bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10.5 inches. And then I'm going to add the dart I have at the upper part to it, about 2 inches there. And that is 12.5 inches. So I'll go ahead to mark 12.5 inches on the bust line. So go ahead to mark yours. So I'll mark 12.5 inches there, and on the waistline I'll mark my round waist measurement divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches, and I'll add the 2.5 inches for that, making 12 inches. So I'll mark 12 inches on the waistline, and on the hip line I'll mark my round hip measurement divided by 4, which is 11.5 inches, and I'll add the 2.5 inches for that, and that is 14 inches altogether. So I'll mark 14 inches on the hip line, and then I use my ruler to connect the points together. Use my ruler to connect the points together this way. And then what I'm going to do now is to add 1.5 inches to this existing measurement we took for the seam allowance. So just mark it out this way, and then I will connect the points together. So before we cut it out, to eliminate any kind of gaping at the yoke neckline, so I'm going to eliminate 0.5 inches this way from it. I'll slant it out this way. So by the time you stitch it together, it's going to just fit perfectly. So I'm going to shade out all the areas we're going to be cutting out before we cut out. So let's go ahead now to cut it out. So I'll cut out from the seam allowance. Take the armhole area, and then I'll cut out the dart point. So after cutting that part, I'll take that shoulder slope area, and so after cutting out, this is what we have. So let me go ahead to open it up. So before I open it up, let's go ahead to cut out the sweetheart neckline. So after doing that, this is what we have. So let's proceed to cut out the back panel. So I have my pattern paper here, and it's in a fold of 2. So the first thing we want to do is to draw out a starting line at the upper part of the paper, and this is going to be the shoulder line. So I'm going to take the same vertical measurement like I did with the front panel, shoulder to bust point. So here you won't be needing your under bust measurements. You just go to your waistline and then the full length of the top, and then go ahead to extend the lines this way. So after extending, go ahead to label the lines to avoid any confusion. So this is the waistline and this is the full length. So we're going to be having 1.5 inches zipper allowance on the at the back panel. So just go ahead to take your 1.5 inches from the closed angle, which is the center back, and then connect the points together. So I'll go ahead to label it. So we'll be taking all the measurements before the zipper allowance. So all measurements are going to start before the zipper allowance. So the first thing you want to do is to place your shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2. So mine is 8 inches. And then I'll come down by my round armhole measurement divided by 2, which is 9 inches for me. And then I'll connect the points together. And then I'll further extend the line this way. So the next thing to do now is to mark the neckline measurement. So the wideness of the neckline is 3.5 inches, which is the same with the front. And the depth of the back neckline is 1.5 inches because I want it a bit high at the back. So I'll go ahead to just connect the points together this way. And then after doing that, the next thing is to take the shoulder slope, which is 1 inch. And then I'll slant the line to make the neck width this way. So for the armhole, go ahead to take the midpoint of this line, which is 4 inches for me. And then on this chest line, mark your round post measurement divided by 4, which is 10.5 inches. And then use your ruler to just connect the points this way, forming a curve. So the next thing I want to do is to place the dart. So from the zipper line, place your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So for me, it's 4.5 inches plus the joining allowance. So I'm going to connect the 2 points together this way. And then on the full length of the top, I'm going to take 0.75 inches on both sides, making a total of 1.5 inches. And then I'll connect it to meet the bust point this way. Connect it this way. So after doing that, the next thing is to mark the round body measurement. So on the bust line, make sure you take your measurement from the zipper allowance. I'll place my round bust divided by 4, which is 10.5 inches. And on the waistline, I'll place my round waist measurement divided by 4. I'll add a 1 inch for that, making 10.5 inches. And then on the hip line, I'll place my round hip measurement divided by 4, which is 11.5 inches. I'll add 1.5 inches for that, making 13 inches. So I'll go ahead to connect the points together. After doing that, I'll add my seam allowance of 1.5 inches to all the lines. Add my seam allowance and then I'll connect it together. So after doing that, this is what we have. So before we cut it out, let's go ahead to eliminate the zipper bulge at the back. So I'm going to come over to this line and take 1 inch. So I want to eliminate 0.5 inches from the center back. And then I will just connect the line this way to make the upper part of my paper and also connect it this way. This is going to make the top sit very well at the back. So I'm going to cut out that part I'm shading. So let's go ahead now to cut out the back panel. So let's go ahead now to cut it out. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find it useful, leave a comment and also subscribe to my channel. So after cutting out, I'll go ahead to just open up the center back so you can see the effect of the zipper bulge allowance that we took out. So the next thing to do is to use the patterns to cut on the fabric. So after cutting out, this is what the front and the back panels look like. So I'm going to use this now to cut on the fabric and I'll show you guys. So after using the pattern to cut out my fabric, this is what it looks like. So I added about 0.5 inches at the upper part for the joining allowance with the lining, and I added at the lower part also for the join. So for this yoke part, I'll be using the same fabric to turn it over. So I cut out 4 pieces of it. I'll also cut out lining pieces for the lower part of the top. And then this is the back panel. I'm also gonna head to cut it out. I added half an inch to the shoulder areas and to the base. So in our next video, we're going to learn how to join these pieces together. So this is what we end this video for today. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel.